Hey guys, welcome back to my YouTube channel. So this is an interactive session with Dr. Thompson, episode 6. So interactive session with Dr. Thompson today. Hey sir, how are you doing?
Well, Aaron, I'm doing very well, thanks, and I am happy that you're doing this. I congratulate you. How are you doing?
Doing good. It's been a while since I did any of these. Last time I did an interactive session was with my mom, like I told him before we did this here. Not easy to get a person to come on your channel to do interactive session, for sure. Told my mom this, so. Let's talk about things like, what it's like him being a lecturer and other stuff and the other stuff we're talking about here today. First of all, how long have you been a lecturer for in any college or here specifically?
I've been here for the past 6 years. I came here in January 2019. I completed all of 6 years.
Let's see. 6 years. Okay, cool. You mean it's January, right?
January 2019.
Okay. Got it. Okay. So, what was it like the first time you came here?
Because I was not working in a tertiary institution for the first time, it was quite an exciting experience. One of the challenges I think some of my students had was that I had just previously taught at Ewing, and I may have approached my first classes as if my students were at that level. So I was forced to make some adjustment because though they were fourth years, and none of them were not able to discuss issues at the level that I had assumed or hoped. But we made the adjustment and things have been going well since that time.
I see. I mean, the fact that you have to make adjustments, I think it just shows that you can't go in a certain location with the same mindset where, like, as you said, you used to do a U-way where sometimes the students you will be up there so you can discuss certain things. As opposed to when you came here, you had to be like, I think you thought at first until you realized they were at the level. You had to be like, well, guess I have to find a way to, and it just shows that persons are different. I mean, the problem is persons who are with their lecturers or teachers or whatever wanna approach everything the same way. It's like, if you want my advice, that doesn't make any sense, because if you want to bring the best of certain students, then certain students you have to adjust more than some. That's just how it is. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Some you don't have to do very many. You can do the same how you have been. But sometimes you have to adjust to what you're accustomed to and everything. You know what I mean? So, to be up here with CC, it's astounding. I came to Money College around 2019 September. We didn't have to talk until during the whole pandemic in my second year when we were face to face. And one day I saw you and I was like, you know what? I'm gonna dice, and I did it. And things. So, what was it like when you first interacted with me the first time in your experience?
I was curious to learn more about you because I had taught a few courses on special education, special needs, and so having spoken with students about students who learn differently and knowing that you learn differently, it was for me an exciting experience because I could put a face to the theories, the ideas that I had been sharing with the students about students who have ways of learning which are different from some other students. And I wanted, therefore, to use my experience with you as a way of saying to students, you can get into a discussion with him because these are the things that the scholarship says about persons with particular disabilities or learning styles. Talk with him and say exactly how that will work. So very often when we are discussing persons who have learning abilities like you, I often ask them if they know that there are such persons on campus. And now they were surprised, and I described you to them, and a few persons would express, oh, he's the one. And I think out of that, a few of them said that they were going to have a discussion with you to get to know you better. So it was like a case study of a real situation that we were not only talking about in the book or from the text, but there was an expression, a live example right in our midst. Yes?
Let's see. I mean, I don't understand why some of these students may have their trepidations about interacting with me at first, and I could see it. I mean, it was obvious after a while. I was like, why the hell these students? And I realized afterwards, pretty early on or up a little bit. Okay, I'm going to have to approach most of these students, because if I don't, it just won't talk to me, whatever. So when I'm from after a while, in being in college, I said, okay, I can't always have some of these guys approach me, and then I can't count on that consistently. So I'm going to have to approach them just to prove that I'm approachable. So maybe the next time see me, well, get a little easier. So, and yes, you had some person approach me first, but even then I realized after a while, okay, and yeah, the inconsistent and all those stuff. So certain things, and then after a while I realized, okay, you know what? I can't hide the autism thing. I'm never going to try anymore. So I'm just going to put myself out there. Just might as well let everybody know. And then what they want to do with that information is up to them. So that's just how I approach it. And then I realized within the first year, second semester, whatever it was, a friend of mine told me I didn't need to ever worry about fitting in. So hearing that, I was like, wait, what? I don't want to fit in. I said, okay then. So from there, I took it as a green light. And I'll be like, I'm just going to just be myself, just do my thing, and see what happens. And, and yeah, interacting with these students was challenging. I mean, it was a lot, because, like I said, if I didn't really approach most of these persons, I didn't even say some, I said most. So that should tell you everything you need to know. Because I'm like, it doesn't matter if the person's very sociable or not, so whatever, it just didn't matter at that point. It just, if you're getting the same thing from most persons like you, then at some point it's not coincidence. So I knew, okay, it's not coincidence anymore. So I'm just gonna have to. And then I heard, well, they didn't know how to approach you, or the ignorant, whatever. I was like, okay. So it just, yeah. But I'm glad that you did the special needs class with other students. Educate these students about autism and other special needs and everything, and I can understand why they were surprised that there was someone with autism in college. I can understand why, because you don't.
They were surprised because I know them had the idea that when we talk about special needs or persons who have special learning needs, they would be in special education institutions. So one thing that we were learning, at least what it was at the Money College, has made accommodations for persons with special needs as a regular practice. So I use examples of the college creating ramps for those who are physically challenged and would need the ramps in order to enter particular classroom space. I also use examples of the fact that there are some students who, because of their impaired vision, were given opportunities with large print, but the students' reaction, or I think the students' failure to interact with you on a regular basis, is more out of ignorance and a lack of exposure to persons like yourself. There are a couple of students in a couple of my classes, I think, who had told me that they had relatives who were who had autism, and therefore, sorry, some of those students could easily give examples of the characteristics and of the approaches that they have taken in dealing with individuals who have autism. And so for them, it was easy because they had lived the experience, and it was not a difficult thing for them to therefore understand exactly how to deal with the persons who have autism or other special needs. And one of the things we did not do, and the course doesn't require it, is that we did not require that students have a discussion with or interact with persons who have ASD, for example. If I think that if we had made that a requirement, more of them would approach you for the assignment aspect of it, and I think in that way they'll be better able to understand that it is possible to communicate with persons who have ASD or other challenges or other peculiarities and not be afraid of them, because what they need to do is to use the knowledge that they gather in class and be able therefore to relate to individuals like yourself.
I see. As for this ignorant thing, I mean, I've heard that since my first year, I heard that my second year, my third, my fourth, and even now I heard it. I was like, okay, what more do I have to do? But somebody tell me, because I've done everything you can think of, which most artists wouldn't do. I'm putting myself out there. I go above and to do that. I have to adjust to the environment in, constantly have to do that consistently, by the way. And yet still, you're trying to, put yourself there, interact, even though it can be a lot. But I still do this, I'm going to do it anyway. And yet still, whenever a person wants me to do a presentation on autism, I'm like, alright, cool. I would speak to some of the teacher students about autism thing whenever I get the opportunity to do that. And yet still to keep hearing it even after where I'm at now, it's just I told this before, it's a slap in the face, because then it's like, what more can I do? It's like I could have easily been like, what, let me just ask them myself. I could have easily done that, but I chose not to. So
remember, not all the students in the college do special needs. It is not something which is required for all the students in all the programs, and therefore it becomes a challenge because some are not exposed to the studies at all. But all the teacher education students, and they're in the majority, are aware of these unique ways in which persons learn, but it is, as I said, it is not a requirement that they speak with persons who have special learning needs. I believe if it were a requirement, then that would be quite easy for them. When we do foundations of special education, for example, or when we do introduction to exceptionalities, for those courses, we have taken trips to different institutions where there are persons with ASD and other special needs. And that I have done with both full-time and part-time students. But remember, in establishing connections and developing conversations, persons are aware that the discussion you have with one person who has ASD might be very different from another person who has ASD. They are aware of those changes that they have to make, and I'm not sure if they are going to be inclined initially to deal with that. I'm sure that if you were in a teacher education class where persons have to study with you and utilize the training, the knowledge you've gained from the courses that we have offered, things might have been different. But the fact is, it is a learning experience for everybody. For you and for the others, it's a learning experience. Right? And the rest of the society is also trying to learn what it means to interact with individuals this way.
Let's see. I mean, it's one thing if I'm not around consistently, then I get it. But if I'm around consistently or around my classmates, and yet still you're around me and you get opportunities to act, and yet still, so I guess, as I said, the other way they're willing to do is to, I guess the race is a lot, so maybe that's why. Unless it's a requirement type of thing, then it's a lot. I realized after a while, it's a lot to begin with for them, so.
Lauren, one of the things I want you to bear in mind is that the lack of engagement with you is not necessarily an indictment or a negative attitude towards you by the students. There are students here who do not know students in another group, even though they are doing the same program. I've had a difficulty, for example, asking a student, do you know so and so who is doing secondary business? Do you know so and so who is doing math and science? And they do not know. The fact is, we are in an age in which persons do not spend as much time in conversations. If they are not in a defined space like in a class, and if they are not required, many times when we are on campus, we are with something else on our mind and we do not have conversations as well. The presence of the cellular phone in people's lives has made us, to a large extent, not as communicative as we used to be. There are students on campus whom I have said good morning to on many occasions and they don't answer. Why? They have their earplugs in and they pass me and they are busy in their world. On a few occasions I have stopped them and I have said to them, I said good morning, and they have taken out their earpiece and said good morning to me. The truth is, individuals operate in ways in which they are most comfortable and in ways with which they are most familiar. They do not break out of that comfort, familiar zone as readily as they should. That's my perspective, right?
Let's see. So why is it like, I remember it was the month before, April, where you had this symposium with the part-time students. So what was it like to have the symposium with those other students? But they, not just the autism, but the other special needs as well. What was it like you keep that presentation and you see me there that particular day?
Say that again, please.
What was it like to do like a presentation, the symposium special needs presentation with the part-time students? What was it like you witnessing them, those students, talk about first special needs like autism, ADHDs, those other ones?
What is it like?
Yeah, witnessing, and I was there that day too. So
you mean that symposium in April was a very good example of how it is that students were able to draw on your expertise. And so they asked you to be there as a resource person because, you see, one of the factors I think is that those students are more matured than the full-time students. The full-time students are late teens, early 20s. They are not as comfortable, they are not as experienced, they are not as adept in having conversations as the older ones who are in the part-time program. Some of those in the part-time program are teachers. They are already accustomed to relating to persons who have autism or other special needs. So when I have my classes, a number of them give me stories about their experiences in the class. The ones who are younger and with less experience are the ones who simply sit and, okay, okay, they are learning. The ones who we had, for example, in April, are experienced individuals who have had exposure to and engagement with individuals with ASD and other special learning needs, and are therefore the ones who demonstrated greater comfort and ease and relaxation in relating to you.
Let's see. You know, I mean, Miss K did approach me to do the presentation, and then on the final, she wasn't sure what to ask me. I mean, she seemed experienced, but even she was hesitant. She had to tell me everything I need to know. As they said, they're experienced. But yesterday I was there, then it seems like some of them were hesitant to approach me, and they're experienced, by the way, as she said. So, to me, that's kind of telling. I'm like, so it's not just persons around my age or in the 20s have difficulties. You have the older ones have difficulties too. So, anyway, take it. And I was like, well, I might as well get used to it. If person approaches it, great. If they don't, oh well. Because I mean, I just I probably shouldn't take it as a slight with me at this point. Maybe it just. And that's what I appreciated with Miss K approached me, because I knew it wasn't easy for her, and she's experienced. Those are experienced ones. So I don't think it's I don't think it's just the ones so in the 20s have difficulties. Probably some of them the older ones have difficulties too. Even if they probably have experiences with other autism people before. I met this guy, and he met some autism before. I even asked most of these students, do you guys ever met some autism before? I asked that for a reason. I didn't just get up asked out of thin air. I asked that because, you know, because first you want to make it seem, well, talking to someone with autism is the same as talking to a neurotypical person. You're going to find out real quick it's not. Because if it was, then I wouldn't be hearing all these excuses about, or, well, you know, ignorance, so I wouldn't be hearing that every time. So, and then I get this response a lot of times, Larry, irrespective of your autism or not, so on, so on, so. I say, whether you're neurotypical or neurodivergent, it doesn't make a difference. Yeah, it does make a difference. Because if it didn't, then, you know, there's a reason why I'm not trying. If I really knew I didn't need to fit in, then I'm glad I know now. How it makes sense. Because there are times back in this I would try, and then what if it didn't work out? And then, person may see you're no different. And I'm like, are you telling me this because you feel this way, or are you telling me this because? And that's how that person went for it. All the fact that they actually show me differently. I'm like, okay, you guys not completely honest with me. I mean, honestly, I'll be honest with a person can be tough sometimes, because you're not sure how I'm react, but to try to tell me one particular thing and then you actually show me differently, just a slap in the face. Because then it's like, at least I would respect it more if you tell me, I was sure to approach you at first, so and so and so. I would respect it more. But even though it may take me up a loop, I may be like, oh, I guess I've gone to what I've gotten used to. Now, I thought I was easy to approach, but turns out I wasn't. Because then, if you're hearing where a person don't want to interact with you, then truthfully, you're not really easy to approach. I thought I was. You know what I mean? I thought I was easy to talk to. I turned out I wasn't. So, I came to Money College, came to college overall, because he had to really punch me in the face in a way where high school or any other experience didn't punch me in the face. I mean, so, yeah, I mean, what was it like you witnessing being at my graduation, you know, not just watching other students graduate, but especially watching me graduate specifically?
It was a feeling of satisfaction that you had overcome the challenges, difficulties, and setbacks, that you had persevered, that you had to deal with the challenges of fitting into a community which did not, on all occasions, show that they understood how to relate to you, yet you persevered, and therefore, when you were named as the one for this special award, the Principal's Award, there was very loud applause because a number of persons, I think, could relate to the fact that you had shown the degree of determination and resilience and stick-to-itiveness which made you the most worthy recipient of that. In other words, you represented for me and for many other persons the type of goal orientation, the capacity to overcome difficulties, the the willingness to stick to your objectives even though the environment may not be as welcoming or as pleasant, and therefore you represented that for me, and that was what I saw on graduation day. It was a result of your persistence in the face of difficulties, challenges, and frankly, sometimes I believe loneliness as a student on campus.
Yeah, I mean, winning that trophy was special. I mean, I never thought. I mean, I was looking forward to graduating. It felt good. But the applause you're talking about, I didn't expect it. To be honest, I didn't. Because I mean, I guess I was doing my thing all the time for the most part, and it did seem things just didn't click for the most part. Had moments, but for most of it didn't click. And it was difficult for the most part, and it was always with something. And there were a lot of moments where I was just like, I'm not throwing the toilet, man. This is a bit too much for me, man. I don't know how y'all deal with this, but I'm going to throw the toilet. It just, and just, I mean, just, I've learned to stick to this no matter how tough this gets, and over time, and being a college, you have to persevere, because there are going to be moments where college will put you in a situation where you may want to throw in the towel, or you want to, and you have to fight that feeling, and even when you don't feel like, and you have to constantly, adjust, even more than most of these students have, you know what I mean, just to find a way to persevere through all of that. And the more adjustments I have to make and consider make, and even when I think I had something figured out, I find I'm not really, and I'm like, what the hell? And the more adjustments I have to make versus most of these students ain't the same. So, the level of challenges or whatever, I'm just persevering and despite the odds, because for me it's not just ups and downs. That will come in with that's life. You're gonna have ups and downs, but for me it's not just about ups and downs. It's the other stuff, the odds that I get to. I learned it wasn't supposed to make it that far. At that, didn't know that. I learned there's a reason why those first specialists in college. I learned that. So I learned a lot, and it really was like it really hit me in the face in ways where, yeah, it was the toughest journey I ever been on. Where I mean, high school journey was nuts, but college journey was taken up a notch. And I also realized I don't need to get bullied to face certain difficulties either. So there's that. So even if I wasn't being bullied in high school, well, probably the difficulty still would have been up there, even if I never got bullied or other stuff. So yeah, that's so too. Even moments of being in certain social environments, and no matter who you're around, it's always this language barrier I discovered later on in the journey, but language barrier to me in persons and certain trepidation most people may have of you, even if they don't tell you right then, you just don't. It's like I have to expect anyone to have trepidation about me when they first met me or whatever, or I have to expect hesitancy if they may have experience or whatever. So, given the fact that, like I said, I thought I was easy to talk to, but I found that I wasn't. I thought I was easy to approach, I found that I wasn't. And so, to deal with that, no, hasn't been easy. And even after college, no, it's been challenging because, it's like, okay, how can you get to a situation where you can continue to do big things and to inspire persons? That can be a lot of work as heck, and that's how one person said I miss a lot, and ultimately the person may say like an example, and after the graduation thing, I didn't hear anything questions if whether or not I deserve the trophy, and I didn't hear nothing like that. So
You did not hear what, sorry?
I didn't hear whether or not if I deserve to win the trophy or not. I didn't hear none of that. All I heard was, well, congrats, you deserve it, stuff like that. You know what I mean? Like I said, I didn't hear about, was Larry the right choice? I didn't hear none of that. And then when I heard the principal, the vice principal, having a discussion about it, it's like it was, it wasn't even close to who they want to pick. I was like, I mean, I wanted to make a market money coach, obviously, but I didn't know how. I didn't realize that I took the inspirational thing to next level until at the graduation right after. I was like, what the heck did I just do? I mean, I didn't just make a mark. Obviously, I wanted to do that, but I actually did beyond that, and well, yeah.
And so I don't think you should be too distressed about the fact that many students did not approach you for whatever reason. I don't think you should be distressed that many students did not initiate conversations with you for whatever reasons. The fact is, despite all of those experiences and realities, you achieved in a way and to a level that allowed you to be the recipient of this award. Therefore, the lesson one can learn and the story that one may tell about oneself is that I studied in a context in which I perceived or experienced a certain degree of aloneness because many persons did not bond with me for a variety of reasons. I studied in an environment in which I was one or maybe one of a very few who had a learning style that is of this nature. I studied in an environment in which students with my learning style and my learning needs are not often or always present, and yet, despite those difficulties, I excelled in a manner that earned me the Principal's Award. Therefore, you can tell a story. Despite the challenges, I was able to. Despite the difficulties, I was able to. Despite the uncertainties and the other situations which I experienced, I was still able to achieve. That in itself becomes a statement of your resilience. And that I think is something that perhaps if you were to establish your personal philosophy or personal motto, that could become the thing. I am determined to excel despite my unique challenges or my unique nature which others may find challenging. Alright? That's how I do it.
Fair enough, that's true. I mean, like I said, I was resilient. I mean, it was, some person could tell within minutes of meeting me where I think this guy's resilient. I was like, well, some have to win their thing before you realize it, and I was resilient in high school, had to be, and there are many occasions I had to be resilient, and had that moment of being like, well, this is against me, I don't give a crap, and I have to, and I could have easily been like, you know what, yeah, I'm just going to go into the tournament, but I realized you have to finally keep going no matter what, how hard things is, and if things aren't going to get any easier, that's what I feel right now, aren't getting easier, unfortunately, but if that's the case, you have to keep going and just keep persevering, and you know what I mean, and just, so, I mean, yes, and mentally it can be a lot, and facing the world can be overwhelming for me personally, and exhausting, and whatever else word I could use, but it can be a lot either way, but to ultimately being like, well, despite that, to do something in spite of, then it's awesome, you know.
Indeed.
Even if it can be a lot and everything, and you know, and when during the college when I heard, you know, professors tell me I'm doing better than some of the students, I was like, what the? Yeah, that's hard to believe, man. I was like, some of these students have challenges, no question about it, but challenges not the same thing. And yet still I'm hearing, I'm like, what? And so it was hard to believe. And I remember I was speaking to Rev Henry, and he said something about I did well. I was like, what the heck? I struggled most of my college experience. How can I do well and I struggle most of the college experience? How is that possible? But I guess you can do well even when you're struggling, I guess. But
of course. And that's why your story is one of determination, of success against the odds. It is achieving against the odds, which is a phenomenal example that can be an inspiration for so many. Because one simply needs to tell your story to a group of students who may think that they are destined for failure, and simply tell your story and what you were able to achieve despite that. That could be the source of inspiration, so that your story need not be told only by you. Other persons who know your story can use your story as the example to inspire others who may, for different reasons, be inclined, be tempted to give up, to throw in the towel and to surrender. But your story can provide that inspiration for them.
I mean, I did tell you this before. I don't mind sharing my story. For time I'm willing to do that. And heck, I don't mind other people sharing my story, especially if those persons need to be inspired and need to be encouraged, and you know, or other persons sharing my story. Say they ran into someone with autism and they want to share my story, I'm like, go ahead, because I can know it can be discouraging to someone with special needs. It can be discouraging as heck.
Yeah.
So sharing my story will help in that situation to encourage, hey, you know, and it's easy to be afraid of them, even though they're human. And I want to hear them. I want to hear this intimidating thing. I was like, I can intimidate people. I guess I'm an alien then. Yeah, alien. Yeah, I'm trying to say, I guess I'm an alien. Not a human, but I guess you. But yeah, I mean, sharing stories is cool, you know, especially if it can help the other people. And I mean, if person wants to share my story, I'll be like, go ahead. You know what I mean? Because like I said, person can be in a situation where they want to throw in their towel for whatever reason that may be, or you know what I mean. And I heard some person is drop out of college. I'm like, what? And you know what I mean? And for less. So I'm just like, other than health or financial issues, I mean, those issues are big deals for sure. Truthfully, I mean, but like I said, college can take a lot of time. If you know, persons have make it seem that you have to go to a total. Well, based on my experience in college, no. You can go through less and throw in the towel. It's like you don't have to go through what I go through to throw in the towel. You can go through less.
Except that each person's capacity to deal with challenge is unique. Some persons are not wired to deal with much stress before they throw in the towel. Other persons like Lauren are wired differently. Lauren and others like him can withstand great challenges, great difficulties, frequent setbacks, and yet not give up. Others, because of their unique ways of dealing with challenges, do not do as well. And I don't think we should think of the challenges as being greater than or less than. The fact is, the challenge for each person has a unique dimension. What is difficult for me may not be difficult for you, but it is still difficult for me. And I don't think one should compare and say, well, that is easy. It's not easy. If it were easy for that person would have handled it as if it were easy, but for that person it is not easy. And so for me, it has to be that we respect each person's position, recognizing that they are working against and living in a situation in which they face challenges. And how they cope is a unique style that they have to develop.
I mean, I agree with that. I don't really like the comparison thing to begin with. I mean, I don't tell look one person trying to say, "Oh, it's easy." I would be like, "Nah." So one person would pretty much try to compare. I'm like, "Look, there are times I'll be like, y'all tries aren't easy. May not be as hard as mine, but it's not easy for y'all either." So I'm acknowledging, okay, doing this is not easy for you. I've learned to acknowledge that. You know what I mean? And even if I were to say harder, then I would say, well, yours is difficult. May not be as much, but you know. So when person try to compare anything, sometimes it just don't make any sense. As I said, if it was easy, if you literally say the word easy, then it shouldn't take much effort.
Yeah.
So that's why when this person says it's not easy, I'm supposed to say it's easy, because if it was, then if cheating was easy, everybody would be cheating right now.
That's right.
You know what I'm saying? That if doing gymnastics is easy, everybody would be gymnastics right now. That in life, nothing is easy. Yes, if you want to say so much more difficult, that's fine. But at the end of the day, some application have its own difficulty, if that's what you want to say. You can play a game on easy mode. No, there are times where it may not appear to be, and they say get used to it, but playing on super hard mode, it's not the same as playing on hard mode. It's not the same thing. But is it easy playing hard mode? No, it's not just the same. And so, you know what I mean? As I said, some persons are just built differently. You know what I mean? And I guess I'm built differently. I guess without realizing it, because that's why when person say no different, it's a slap in the face. Because if that was true, then you know what I mean. So okay, before we end this video, we're gonna talk about this. So your couple of things, mental health and mental toughness, because I think those mental health is one of those things that doesn't get taken seriously enough. Because unless it's actually serious, there's nothing wrong in saying you have mental issues, but it has to be legit. You can't just go around and say, well, I have mental issue, and then you find out, you know. So how important is mental health is in general, whether it's in anything in general, yeah.
The capacity to function normally, competently, the capacity to make sane decisions, the capacity to deal with life's challenges are all aspects of mental health. And one does not need to have a special educational need. One does not have to have a disability in order to have to deal with mental health. It is a reality. So when persons are facing financial challenges and they do not know how they're going to deal with it, or persons are facing going through family problems, or there are difficulties at the workplace, or there are other issues that they are dealing with, the capacity to function and to grow with such experiences is part of what is meant by mental health. And so, how persons deal with stress? Do persons snap under stress? Do persons become very, very different in relating to their family members? Can they be as calm and as cool and as unperturbed as others, or as they need to be? All of those are issues of mental health, which makes all of us therefore in need of assistance in addressing mental health needs. The child, for example, who has a self-esteem problem is a candidate for counseling and help with mental health. The person who has regrets about entering a relationship or pursuing a particular course of studies or buying a particular car or making some other investment which is not bringing returns, all of these are persons who have need for assistance with mental health. How do we deal with life's realities, life's challenges, and remain in a sane manner or sane frame of mind and face tomorrow with confidence? All of those are issues of mental health. And I believe we all need help. We can all benefit from discussions. We can all benefit from therapy. We can all benefit from social interactions which help us to understand that these are realities of mental health and they do not mean that we are mentally ill. And that's why, for example, I believe some persons, if they are told that they need to speak with a psychologist or a psychiatrist, they immediately believe that they are sick, that they are mad. But this is not the case. It is that we may remain sane, that we should have a discussion with persons who are trained to help us in that regard. And I see the time is going, so I have a few minutes more.
Okay, so yes, I did have a couple of times and we'll finish. Yeah, I mean, as I said, everybody needs help with some aspects. I mean, when person go through certain things, what I've noticed, I've realized this, yeah, it's like, if you're at work and you have a personal issue, whatever that personal issue is, and someone is having the same issue, say you don't know then your personal issue without working professionally, and you need to go handle it elsewhere, whatever, while that person can do this by being work. It's almost like the organization expects you to do the thing that other person will, but like, that doesn't make any sense. Not everybody know how to work despite having personal issue, or that's goes by what I said earlier. Some person just build differently. Some person do things where not every other person can do. Say you play sports. For some person, I use them both to perform under pressure on a consistent basis. I can understand why they see him as the best person who ever run races. I could see why. I mean, that doesn't take away from the other athletes. Those other athletes are mentally tough in their own right. Use them will just build differently. You know what I mean? There are examples I can give about, you have other great persons do great things. You have just some persons who just know how to do certain things that the other person will can't. And there's nothing wrong in admitting that. And to put an expert on everybody in certain areas just don't make any sense. Not everybody, and the mental toughness part, not everybody, well, everybody's mental toughness, but I believe mental toughness have levels to it. Some are more tougher than others in certain areas. For example, Serena Williams, who played tennis, I heard she won a slam while she was pregnant. Not every female can play tennis despite being pregnant. Not every female can do that. I was like, well, that lady's built differently, because I don't know how, not many female can play tennis despite being pregnant. Now, when a woman is pregnant, that's where she's most vulnerable. So, for Serena to do what she did, I was like, wow. I'm so enough for that, and the constant hold to do what she does, and other tennis players. I mean, there's levels to everything. Well, for the most part, there's certain persons that build differently, and there are moments where everybody gonna have failures in the midst of everything. You know what I mean? But not everybody can handle it just the same as the other person. So expect everybody to handle it just the same. It just doesn't make any sense to me. If persons are different, then you gotta expect a person to do things differently. If you're telling me they're different, you can't. Otherwise, if you're expected to do the same, then I guess everybody's the same then. Because I don't know how else for me to put it. Because it's like, certain things that society puts on people just don't make any sense to me. And there's times I'll try to make sense of it, and then I realize it just don't make any sense. I'm like, this don't make any sense. What is this? Like I said, at work, some person can work despite being stressed out. And some person will get stressed and they have to take a break. Like for me, if I get overwhelmed, I need to walk. Some person can get overwhelmed and still manage to do whatever needs to even get overwhelmed. Not many person can do that. So put certain expectation and everybody just don't make no sense, and it just gets to a point where I don't get it, but hey, yeah.
Alright. Lauren, it has been a pleasure speaking with you. I want to congratulate you on doing this because it allows you to hear persons' perspectives and different persons' perspectives, and also to air your own thoughts and feelings with different persons who will naturally bring their unique responses and insights into your discussion. And I want to say heartiest congratulations and continue doing what you're doing and continue making an impact.
Yeah, I appreciate it. Thanks, guys. I have my video, so hope you guys have a good day so far. And I love the video. And thanks again for coming on here despite your busy schedule, sir. I mean, I really appreciate it. Like I said, it's not really easy to get persons to come on my channel to do an interactive session with me per se. So thanks for taking your time out of your time to do this with me and everything. So really appreciate it.
My pleasure and all the best. Yeah.
Yeah, thanks.
Bye bye.